Hey, thanks for joining me. Today I want to explain a little bit about retro handheld devices. Now, I've been working on a review format and reviewing a number of these retro handhelds, and I'll be sharing regular videos on that. But the thing is, you can't just review one of these really and effectively address all the topics that you need to address, because there are so many on the market and because so many occupy the same price bracket. You really need to review a number of them together so that as a product you understand what is good and what is bad compared to products that are in the same price bracket. So I'm trying to make sure that when I do these reviews, I can help you find something that fits your needs. We all have different needs when it comes to gaming. We all use these devices in different ways. And so I want to be able to clearly share what will be useful to you. But before I get to that, oh, the green screen's going really going crazy on that. Okay, so the thing I want to point out on some of these devices, before I get more into the details, I just want to point out some things that can go wrong so that you can understand. So one of the things that I would say probably the most important thing that goes wrong is some of these have very bad viewing angles. Now, it's very hard to tell on digital camera or a webcam, but some of them have viewing angles that are very bad. Some of them, even though you're looking at them directly head on, they just don't look good. And for example, you know, the green screen is on, but even without the green screen, looking at this head on is very uncomfortable. And the reason being is that there's an inconsistent casting of the light. The lighting and the pixels here are a little bit different than they are over on this side. So as you look at it with your binocular vision, it's uncomfortable. You have this odd shimmer and it feels like you're looking at two different screens. It's a bit like the glasses free 3D on the 3DS. So it's very uncomfortable to look at a device like this, despite the fact that it is a steering wheel and it is cool, beep beep. It's really unpleasant. Plus there's like really dodgy things, like for example this says Sega SMC, but it's a picture of a Switch, but the webcam won't focus on that right now. But when I do my more complete reviews, I will have close-ups of these devices so you can take a closer look at them. But today I just want to discuss some of the issues here. Some of these do not have a sleep mode. That's the next thing that can go wrong. This one uses a on-off switch, so you can't put this to sleep. You can't just tuck this away. So it's not just something that you can stick in your pocket when you're waiting in line at the DMV. The cable also has to run. You see there's a slot here, so it uses USB-C to charge, which is nice, but you have to sort of slot the cable in through there and then try to feed it in. Why? Why is it like that? So this is odd. And I cannot recommend a device like this. Something like this is a total waste of money. The emulation quality itself is not good, and it already has diagonal tearing on the screen, so you see like lines on the screen as your character's moving across the screen. Not great. A device like this is brand new. This one just came out. So this is an improved version of the absolute worst retro handheld device. The X6 is the absolute worst device. If you ever see that anywhere online like AliExpress or wherever you shop, do not buy the X6, because there are devices that are in the same price bracket that are better in every single way. So the X6 is the worst. They made a new version. I haven't seen anyone review this. It's called the X6 Plus, and it's a little better, but it's still quite bad. It does not have a sleep mode once you've started a game. So once you start the game, if you push the power button, the game won't go to sleep. If you want to load your own ROMs onto here, they don't show up in the section for the console. You have to put them in like a red-headed stepchild folder, and then you navigate to a folder called Download Game. So if I put a PlayStation on there, it doesn't show up in the PlayStation section. I go to Download Game, and then all of the games across all the different platforms show up in one folder. So if I want to load 1,000 of my own ROMs and they're on a bunch of different systems, they're all going to show up in this folder and I have to go through the list. Cool. There's weird button mapping as well. Sometimes when you boot up a game and you're playing a certain console and you expect the A, B, X, Y to be in certain places. Sometimes it's like they hit a randomizer and then it's all over the place. So that's a bummer. A number of them, well, all of these will come with ROMs unless you specifically pick one that says no SD card, no ROMs. But often they'll put ROMs on here and they won't be sorted alphabetically. This is the PSP section. These ROMs are not sorted alphabetically. They just put random numbers in the beginning. It's kind of hard to find games if you have no idea what order they're going to show up in. So it's basically a randomizer. Yeah, some of them adding ROMs is really frustrating. A number of them you can just do a drag and drop from the computer. Copy and paste your ROMs onto the SD card. There's folders, PSP, Genesis, Neo Geo Pocket. You can copy and paste your ROMs in, but a number of them look like you can do that, but you can't. You actually have to use some sort of external program, and then it's quite more cumbersome to load ROMs on, and that is really annoying. There's a device called the Gaminja. What's up with that name? ANS01A, mouthful. And that one, I was putting ROMs on there and I couldn't figure out why they weren't showing up. And then just by a whim, I deleted the database file. I saw people online saying they couldn't add ROMs. They copy and pasted the ROMs, but they weren't showing up on the console. So I deleted the database file, I put the SD card back in the console, and then it rebuilt the database and added my ROMs in. There were no instructions for that, I just guessed. So there are certain devices where you can copy and paste and it is easy, and other ones where it's not that convenient. Now this is an Android device, CB408, the CB stands for Chicken Bake. I really wanted to recommend this, and I absolutely cannot. It feels nice. It's metal, it's got rubber backs, the buttons and the analog sticks are good. The problem is my analog stick was constantly pressing left. Luckily, eventually I found a program in there, this thing. I don't know what it's called, but it does have, if you press select there is a gamepad section where you can calibrate it to some degree. I was able to calibrate it and get it centered once, but then it went off again, and then now it won't perfectly go center when I'm calibrating it. I don't want people to end up with a device that they've paid $70 for, where the analog stick is already going off to one side. So I don't want to be mean-spirited, but I've heard other people just have bad experiences with this device as well. It's a real bummer. This runs on Android, and I cannot recommend Android for retro devices unless you are a tinkerer and you're quite savvy and experienced with all this stuff and you know what you're doing, and you specifically want things like GameCube and PS2. In general, Android will emulate those devices better. Otherwise, Android is a very clumsy operating system. It's not a polished experience. But if you have Android games that are designed to run well on devices like this, then they're quite good. But I've been holding this, let's see, this is why I'm doing this video as like a test run, so I can figure out where to hold the devices. But yeah, I cannot recommend Android unless it's a very powerful one and you want, for a specific reason, to play Android games. Around the $100 mark, you see, that's Australian, around the $65 to $80 mark, you will find cheaper Android devices like this one. And there isn't a reason unless you specifically want to play Android devices. These are not strong enough to do GameCube and PS2. Okay, so lastly, the configuration. This is the last thing that can go wrong. This is quite an old one. This is the Powkiddy RGB20S, and I do not recommend this device because of the configuration. You see the D-pad and the buttons are way down here, but there is a nice little happy face here, which is quite nice. So the buttons down at the bottom make it very uncomfortable to play. You see I'm basically holding it like a postage stamp like that. If I want to reach up to do the shoulder buttons, my fingers are now crossing into each other, and you either have to interlace them like that. So I've owned this for maybe 2 years, and I've only ever put not even 4 hours of gameplay into it because it's not comfortable. And that's not something that I see a lot of people explain and talk about. So I want to explain those sorts of things in my reviews. This thing, at least this thing's comfortable, right? It's a steering wheel. It's comfortable to hold, but the screen is so unusable. It's really harsh. Okay, that's what I wanted to share with you. I hope this information has been useful to you, but those are the things that can go wrong with these devices. If you're curious, you know, they did improve the X6 by making it the X6 Plus. It's a 4-inch screen. This is not one I would recommend because you can get devices in the same price bracket that do everything better. Okay, I hope this was interesting to you. Thanks for watching. Take care, everyone. All right, I'll see you next time.